Okay, welcome to today's edition of the Cable Advisory Committee. It is now March 2nd, 2023, and I think that might have been Heather joining. This meeting is being offered remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022 and all other applicable laws, temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. If any participant wishes to record this meeting, please notify the chair at the start of the meeting in accordance with Mass General Ledger Chapter 30A, Section 20F, so that the chair may inform all other participants of said recording. I don't think anyone else is recording this. Our agenda will be short and sweet. It looks like this. We'll call the order. We did. Who else is on? Heather, did you just join? Let's see. I think she did.
Yeah,
anyway.
Heather's on. Okay,
good. So we did that. We now in the committee we have John Rice, Dave Jones, and Heather Cashman. And today we will not approve any minutes because yours truly has been remiss in actually reading through them. So we will approve minutes next time around. And we will immediately go forward with the agenda. First up would be John Rice talking about the license. In our last meeting, we said we needed the capital figures, and John met with our attorney to get those capital figures. And take it away, John.
Hi, guys. So after 3 or 4 canceled meetings and reschedules, and I finally talked to Bill at 8 o'clock last night, and our council, our trustee council, and we went through both the financial analysis of how we could negotiate the deal for both the PEG operating and the capital number that we would do, and then we also went over a few of the sections in the agreement that we had discussed in our previous meeting that I can just sort of go over real quick. They're just little addendums that were added to be able to clarify some things. So I think first I'll take the contract. Did you guys get? He said he sent you the contracts if you want to put them up on your screen last night. That he copied everybody with the latest things.
I don't know if he copied everybody, but can you share on your end? Because you probably have the latest version. He sent a couple of them in.
I think I can, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. You should be able to share.
Just for the record, it wasn't sent to me.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought he sent it to the whole group.
I'll send it to you, and then while he's doing the show.
Let's see here. 243 draft. See, I have them up on my window. So how do I get them up? I don't really. I just go advanced or files.
The bottom of your screen is the third thing over. It says share screen.
Yeah, and then when it comes up, there's a big window that says share. It's got the different pieces.
Yeah, just do basic. This PC, that's the easiest.
Okay, and then just and then how do I add this document to it?
You have to be displaying the document on your PC. So
all right, it is right now. Yeah.
All right, so hit it. There you go. You got it.
All right, there we go.
There it is. Okay. See it?
Yep.
Okay. So there were you can see the green sections where we'd already discussed a few of these things. It's basically, this is the agreement that he is sending, as he is not here with us tonight. I told him there's no need, we can just sort of agree to these various points and then tell him and then send it to Paul Train with whatever caveat there is. So these are the deal points that were sort of talked about. We had talked about here on one 0.19, that the resolution would be at a minimum 720p. We wanted to add it to 180i. They're not going to go for that, so it's not something worth fighting for. It's still HD. So this was the one thing about the on 2.4. This was the change that we made last night. Yep. If you remember, Verizon wanted to have the 3-year out in terms of when they terminated it. They needed to give us notice that was 180 days, and we said, not really enough. We want to try and get more, so we have put it in for 270 days written notice. But as we discussed in our last one, I had sort of mentioned that I felt that they really need to tell the subscribers as well that they're going to get turned off. And so we put this new language in here that says within a reasonable time, as determined by the licensee, written notice therefore shall be sent to the licensees, then current subscribers, by a methodology determined by the licensee. In other words, it could be an email, it could be mail. I think that they'll go for it because at the end of the day, if they do this termination, the town could contact those Verizon subscribers with a, with a mailing or whatever if they had to, but and it could be publicized as well. So hopefully we can get that in there, but I felt pretty strongly that the subscribers need to know so they can anticipate whether they're going to turn to Verizon's new offering, because I think that it's in Verizon's best interest to let those subscribers know, because they're probably going to upsell them on their new offering, or that the people have an option to go to Comcast and continue to keep their cable, which is obviously in our best interest as a town because we get more PEG money that way.
Yep.
This was the cable service to the public buildings. We had talked about this. This was agreed upon in our last meeting. The other part was the bill payment office. Then we sort of, changed that to make it convenient. But those, in terms of the this going to Verizon right now, we've basically agreed to everything in here. And now what I can do is put in the financials and discuss those sections and what we agreed to in terms of numbers. The main issue was to try and arrive at a capital number, and we went back and forth quite a bit about what kind of methodology we wanted to use. On one hand, since our last agreement was signed, Verizon has gone from 3,200 roughly subscribers down to 2,600, 2,700. So they've lost subscribers. But when we look at the gross revenue per quarter, you can see that over this last year, yes, the gross revenue has gone down, but it hasn't gone down that much. So, with offerings like pay-per-view and things like that are also part of the equation, Verizon is still doing healthy business in town, and so therefore the computation of like where the capital money would be, should figure into that equation in terms of how much we're contributing. But the second thing is, what about the fact that they want a 3-year out? The town doesn't normally give a 3-year out. That's kind of an unusual thing. We have a 5-year deal. So as a privilege in terms of wanting to be able to get out of your deal here, which is an inconvenience to the town, you should be giving us the full sort of enchilada of, as they say, of the capital money. So after much debate and looking at the numbers, we kind of went back and forth between, well, if we just take it purely on the subscriber number and take a percentage lower, it's like around 32 grand a year. But at the same time, if you look at the gross revenue per quarter, not going really that far down, it's basically the same. We felt like, well, let's round up to 38,000 and make that our opening foray and see if they go for it. Bill was sort of saying that a little bit of the strategy is that Verizon might not want to fight that, or the lawyer might not want to fight for that figure in terms of lowering it and things like that, because it would slow the process down. It would make Verizon have to present to our group, because I think we would then have another meeting with the Verizon rep to sort of discuss how they came to that new number that they would come up. This is the number we want. This is the number we feel is fair. So that's how we arrived at that number. So we're going to go in with a $38,000 number for capital. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Nope. Sounds good.
Nope. Okay. The operating capital, so that we're clear, is going to be 4.85% of those revenues. So that will be what the operating capital is, and we had discussed and sort of agreed that they can do it in not increments of 4, but increments of 3 payments. And that's basically the long and the short of it. So that's what we've arrived at. And so Bill is taking it to Paul Train. He's going to, after Bill looked at his markups, accommodated some of his markups, but put in some of this new language, and we'll see where we go from there. And that's the next step. And we've, told Bill that, time is of the essence.
Now, you told Bill that I'm angling to get us on the select board agenda for voting on this thing on March 28th, right?
Yes, I told him that we have a deadline at the end of the month to get on the select board so we can get this approved and through.
Okay. Have you gotten any? Well, we'll talk about you wandering around in town hall, but is there a sense from the town hall on how much time they need to look at this thing, and maybe, I guess how much lead time should they have with the contract before they have to vote on it?
I mean, well, let me just sort of go back on a reporting of what I did at town hall, and then be able to understand. Like, I think I met with Art, who's supposed to be our rep here, and Art Robertson. He's very, very, good. We sat down in the conference room. I went over a host of issues that are outstanding at the town that we're trying to get passed through, and I'll go through each of them. Okay. Only because I think Art is really getting up to speed about what we're doing, and this orientation meeting, which was going to take place, months ago, but they've been busy. I felt like he took copious notes. He's going to try and help get some of these things through by discussing it with Tom Mayo. So anyway, so that to answer your question, Dave, I think he has to get back to us about what kind of timetable they need. I did tell him when we wanted to be on the agenda. I asked him to be at this meeting so we could discuss that further, but obviously he couldn't make it. So anyway, here's some of the things that I brought up to Tom that are outstanding that I think really need to be dealt with. On the educational contract, I think, Heather, it's kind of the ball's in the town's court to kind of get that signed and approved, right?
Yeah, exactly. We had some revisions that we sent to Tom Mayo, and we were expecting some sort of feedback, but if he agrees with the revisions, they could, sign off on it.
Can you characterize for us what those revisions, the essence of those revisions are? Yeah,
sure. With the contributed content from it specified from the high school and the media class. So we changed that to, I believe it was like a district-wide effort rather than just the high school. And then we also changed the required 4 pieces of contributed content from the schools a month. I think we changed that to more of a not very specific like that. Just we'll try and get 4 a month. I'm not saying it that well, but basically just a guideline rather than a requirement. Yep. Because there's certain months like February, for example, with February break, and then me personally, I was on vacation, so it's tough some months to get 4 pieces of video content out. You know what I mean? So a lot of it would fall on my office, which is which is okay. I should be coming out with video content. It's just 4 every month, I think was a little bit unreasonable. And so we just changed it to sort of, we'll aim for 4 a month, but we won't be held to it if we don't, because, I recognize that we need this effort, but like I said, in February, I think there was maybe 1 video, you know what I mean? So those were the revisions.
Yeah, I mean, I think our expectation is, we put it in there for a reason. So, however you want to juggle the output on a per month basis is fine, but maybe make it up in at times when there are, if you're doing videos that are part curriculum based and they're, the kids are all delivering at the same time and there's multiple kids, then all of a sudden 1 month it could be 8 videos because it's part of a class deliverable. So I think I think at the end of the day, we want a good faith effort to be able to deliver that amount of programming that we discussed in the original agreement. But, I think, it'll be okay to be able to make it flexible for you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Would it make sense to be something like an average, like some months?
I think that might be the wording. I don't have I think we had like a physical copy where we revised it and then scanned it to him. I can ask for the wording that we asked to change, but I think it was just, more of a exploratory email and meeting that we were looking for because, the current administration here was not aware of when the contract was built. And I'm not saying that's, we're looking to completely eliminate it or anything. Me being on this committee, I recognize the need for it. It's just, I think, signing it with no prior knowledge, I think was just a tough spot for us.
That's fine.
Dave, do you recall what the duration of this agreement is? And do we this funding that comes through, do we approve it each year, or is it just the term of the agreement?
I think it was like 5 years. I don't know. I got it here someplace.
And that's currently active. It's just there's no contract in place. Is that correct?
That's
20,000.
yeah.
Okay.
Can you send me it? Can you send me that copy, that the one that you sent to the select board?
Yep. Yeah, I'll find it. Yep.
Yep. Thanks.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I mean, I kind of feel bad for Heather, she's coming in, deer in the headlights, but
You're calling me deer in the headlights?
Yeah,
A little.
a little.
Heather, I'm sure that you're going to do your best effort to make this all work, and I'm looking forward to it. Our experience in the past has been less than stellar, and we might review it again, and if it's not working, because there's other ways to use that money. So hopefully we can it'll all go fine, because that was the original intent of it. But
so how long ago did you send the changes to the town? I just want to hold their feet to the fire. Couple of weeks, 2 weeks?
No, much longer. Several months.
Several months, okay.
Yeah, and we've Margaret, Dr. Adams, our superintendent, followed up. So she sent it in probably the fall. And then when we had our conversation, you guys were looking for an update. We sent another follow-up and we just didn't hear back. We didn't really push for it, but again, maybe us as a committee can push for it. I think that might be more appropriate.
Well, I went up to the, right with Art and told him, hey, we got to get this done. So, it's about all we can do. It's just, we keep pushing, and I will continue to follow up and make sure that, hey, this isn't just laying there for 2 weeks. So, I'll be up there next week if I have to. Just give me an answer. What are you going to do?
Yeah. It's like a 5-minute walk for us. So,
Yeah. So it's not, we'll make sure that it gets happening. But you have been getting the money, or have you been tracking that the money has been flowing?
Our last meeting, it was the first I had heard that we were getting the 20,000. I spoke to our business director, and she's under the impression we are. And that's when I sort of floated the idea of rerouting the money maybe away from the media class and into sort of a club or something like that.
Yeah.
So if by the next meeting you could maybe double check with your business office, because I'm hoping that you're definitely getting the money.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we are.
Okay,
I
good.
just didn't look into it specifically.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
On the other matters that I talked to Art about was obviously the need for a town rep to come to these meetings, but you know, that's easier said than done, I guess. And the other is the production grant agreement that is sitting there as well in terms of getting that going. Because I think that what I was hoping Michelle would be here, but I think that the gist of it is that Harbor Media doesn't know really what the money that it's been agreed to, that's going to be part of that funding, and so that they can't really go forward until they know what the actual funding is going to be, and there's some kind of signature that's going to happen with that, so that it's approved, that their accountants, that Harbor Media's accountants are saying we can't spend it until we know what it is. Now, I mean, for me, it's like, yeah, but you could probably get it going, because at the end of the day, the money is over a 5-year period. So if it's a question about, you know, whether it's, you know, $50,000 more or less, you could adjust. It doesn't have to be, you know, we discussed before in the meeting, we didn't think that the grants had to be necessarily equal each year. They could use their judgment to roll it out based on what they feel is going to be the best way to do it, you know. But anyway, we'll have to follow up with the town on the production grant thing, because there's a lot of people in town that are saying, when's it happening? When's it happening? I've had multiple people are saying, I heard about the production grants. Do you know anything more about it? And, you know, I'm saying, yeah, it started 4 months ago. No, it didn't, you know. So we need to get them going on that.
Just to give a little context on the paperwork that's floating around, the agreement that the town has with Hingham Cable, which is now called Harbor Media, what came up, we put together another agreement which actually included some verbiage on this production grant, and I believe that was signed off on so that the Harbor Media can continue to operate. However, we needed an addendum that would put in the numbers that we're talking about, so that when Harbor Media goes to their financial people, since that's revenue and has to be accounted for, they needed something from a signed agreement from the town that stated that particular money. That's the piece that we're looking for the town to sign off in the discussions with Harbor Media. So our agreement with Harbor Media they've done that, they voted on that, and that's been agreed to. But the additional piece of the money and the addendum to that agreement is still in flux, and we have to continue.
Right, but I think that does that make it so that they can't send the RFPs out, and that they can't they don't have to let people know what the money, the fund is?
No. And I think that
they can start it's going to take months for the RFPs and the judging to happen.
Oh yeah, and I think I can't emphasize enough that the overall overarching desire for the town to engage Harbor Media to manage and vet a production grant that has been approved. The dollar amount, whatever, is certainly in fix, but they can from a logistical project management point of view go forward with the program, because they've been instructed to do that from the town. So, you know, I think that it may be, you know, disingenuous to think, well, we can't do anything because we don't have the dollar amount. Whereas, no, I don't believe that's true. So we will certainly press that on, and hopefully, you know, I'm just thinking off the top of my head now, maybe I should include that as an agenda item in the select board meeting, so they can not only sign off on the license renewal, but also sign off on the addendum to the agreement. Now,
that's a good idea.
Technically, we do not need, because of the dollar amount, the arrangement. Tom Mayo could, I believe, can just sign off on the addendum, but don't hold my feet to the fire on that one. But I think I'm going to pursue, and I'd also like to add another agenda item to sign off on the addendum, so we can get that off our plate. Make sense?
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
The other thing that I brought up to Art was this assumption that the town has made that capital money can only be spent on town buildings. And I explained to him that I thought that was that we as a committee were never informed of that. I don't know if that's been snuck into the agreement that we had with Harbor Media. But I've sort of said to him that I don't think that is that's too restrictive, and it's not a wise decision, because I think that there's better ways to use the equipment money. And I do believe that frankly, the capital money is intended for the Harbor Media to come up with a proposal of like how best to use it. And if that means that they have remote cameras that go in and are used in the town as well as in the for other purposes, that's a wise decision in terms of the usage of that equipment. Having it fixed in town is an inefficient way to use that equipment only. And I also sort of pointed out, like, well, if that's the case, then why is the town going to buy a whole with the town money and the buildings, a whole like multi-camera thing for the town meetings? I mean, no, they bring it in for the one time a year they do it. So it makes sense for them, and to go back to the way we used to do it, where Harbor Media would present us with a proposal and at the cable advisory meetings to discuss how they want to budget and spend the capital money in a wise way. The town can be part of that discussion. The town can come to us and say, we want to do another classroom, or we want the senior center to have robotic cameras or whatever. They can make these proposals, and we should consider them and either recommend them, and the select board can say up or down. But this process should go back in place, because I think it's a wise way to look at the appropriation of the capital money. And I don't think it should be restricted to just the town buildings. I think that's myopic.
What was
I mentioned that to Art.
What Art say? Well, I'm going to look
Yeah,
at
no,
that.
he took very copious notes. This is all new to him. He was listening, and I think he thought it made sense to a certain degree. I also pointed out that it's there's a reason why we call it PEG, right? There's public, there's education, and there's government, right?
Yep.
Now you could make the assumption that education just has to be school stuff, but it's not. It's called educational programming. It could be done at the Historic Society. It could be done at the historic. It doesn't have to be a town thing, right? So out of the three, in my view, the government maybe could control or say justifiably, we could use a third of that capital money should go to just government purposes. That's fine, but not for the whole thing. What about the public? It's called PEG.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is all stuff that I think if we're making an argument about like why the capital money should be available to Harbor Media, I just think it just makes a heck of a more sense. I mean, I do think that, for instance, like many operations, cable operations, they have what they call fly packs, which is another way of saying, we have remote cameras that can go into a car or truck or whatever, and we can do live programming from, any number of places in Hingham. In the summer, we could go down to Red Eye Roasters and do something on the, on the deck right there and do a little talk show. It shouldn't just be tethered to the town buildings, because that same equipment can get used for town meeting, can get used for one of the rooms that gets used for a school committee meeting that was overflow, but it's out of the room where we put robotics. So it's to me, it makes just a lot more sense to give them that flexibility to do that. That's just an example.
Okay. Anything else you
So
talked about? Anything else you talked with Art about?
the other thing is I just gave him I gave him an update on the Verizon process.
Yeah, okay. All right.
That's it.
All right, well, I think John and I will be up at Town Hall on sort of a regular basis to kind of move this stuff along. Okay. Any other questions from the committee? Otherwise, I'd like to schedule our next meeting and press on. Going once, going twice. No, okay. So when would be a good time for our next meeting? Let's see. Would people
Well, Dave, it's maybe a little contingent on
yeah
on when Paul Train gets back to us with what he agrees or doesn't agree, because it might be a situation where he has to be invited to our meeting.
Yeah, all right, I think that's a good suggestion, because if I set something up now and then I gotta unwind it all because of, Paul, that would be more logistics for me, so we will not schedule the next meeting. Although I would like generically for these meetings does the committee, we're small enough, prefer like a 9 o'clock thing like this, or go back to 7 a.m.? It's 7 o'clock, it doesn't matter to me, obviously. Any thoughts on that?
Evening meetings. Evening meetings increase the likelihood I can attend them.
Okay,
Yep, same with me.
okay,
That's fine with me. I'm flexible.
all right, we'll stick with 7. Just want to make sure. Obviously, if we have to do some ad hoc thing for Paul, we'll make,
All
whatever.
retired guys like Dave, they want to go to bed by 7:30. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, if I wander down the hill here and I meet him, my morning is shot, but that's a problem. All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, Heather?
I thought I wasn't a voting member because I ain't living.
Oh, you're a voting member, absolutely. That's the only one that's not a voting member is Michelle, but you are absolutely a voting member.
Got it. Aye.
All right. So to contact the Hingham Cable TV Advisory Committee, you can reach us at cac@hingham-ma.gov, or you can visit our webpage at the link shown here, or just scan the QR code. Thanks for watching.